There's a strong chance you're not that far off from winning in business and at the game of life. It just takes one idea, but you gotta have unwavering belief and burning desire. If you can couple that with a lockdown strategy that's fueled by heart, hustle, and muscle, you got a shot at winning. There's one thing that all champions have in common. They get shit done. So welcome to the Get Shit Done experience. Well, we are back at it again. You are in studio with us. This is the Get Shit Done experience, also known as the GSDX podcast. Man, we are on a run right now with amazing guests, and I have another one for you today. I hope you are ready to sit down, lock in, and embrace the energy and the expertise and the track record that Mr. Aaron Johnson is going to be delivering here today. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
We are excited. Aaron has an amazing background, and we want to get into that. So we're going to do a little bit of a kind of tell us your, I guess this would be an autobiography on the radio here, if you will, or on a podcast. But we're going to break down. Aaron got started in journalism at the University of Kansas, or is it KU? Is it Kansas University? I can never get that right.
It's actually KU, but I actually think it's the University of Kansas.
Okay.
And that's why UK for University of Kentucky, they keep
Got it.
Hey, we keep KU, but
All right, let's just go with Jayhawks.
the Jayhawks.
He's
Rock
a
Chalk
Jayhawk, baby. He's a Jayhawk. So those of you that are Jayhawks, you're going to dig this. He got started, in journalism, finds himself on the radio. Tell us all about that, Aaron. How in the world did you end up on the radio announcing games?
So I was in the journalism program, and I signed up for one of the classes that actually did. There were about 6 of us, I believe, maybe 6 to 8 of us, and we would rotate and do the Kansas Jayhawk basketball games on the air on the student KJHK radio station. So they gave me the nickname AJ on KJ, which kind of makes a lot of sense. And that's how it kind of started. I was doing, the Kansas Jayhawk basketball games on the radio, doing the play-by-play, did some football games, got lucky enough to do a half of the Eagles and Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Get out of here.
Which was pretty wild. 88,000 drunk rednecks in Kansas City who don't know there's 31 other teams is pretty wild experience.
Yeah, what could be better?
From there, I worked at a couple of the radio stations, one of the adult contemporary radio stations, and I was one of their interns, and I was selling advertising, and I was actually putting up better numbers than people who were actually
the full-time employees
hired there. So the sales manager and I got along real well. And he always gave me some free tickets of things and some good perks as an intern. But he goes, what do you think would make this station better? I'm like, how come there's no college rock in Kansas, right? And it was still kind of a growing genre back then. And I mean, this was like 89 to 93. So he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, what if we went to one of the popular bars and we always played Whitney Houston, I'll Always Love You. I was like, played 3 times an hour. And so I'm like, why don't we play that song? And at noon, we take that record and we smash it on air.
Yeah.
And we play.
So you did a Steve Dahl type thing,
kind of thing before, yeah. And we ended up playing REM End of the World, as you know.
Okay.
And so we went into I Will Always Love You, into that, and then bam, and then 105.9 The Laser was created. So that was good times. And then when I worked at the college radio station, I got to do my own sports show. A little sports talk show. I met Flavor Flav and Chuck D and Public Enemy. Holy cow, they're a trip. And it was just a great experience. I also did the public addressing and announcing for the baseball team. So everybody got to hear my big mouth, from 2 miles away on campus. Now batting number 5, Jeff Niemeyer, something like that.
I love it.
And do all the advertising for the local station.
There's always savings, but it's about way more than savings alone. Total Technology Solutions Group redefines managed print services. Excellence is the minimum standard. TTSG is a true managed print service provider, deeply understanding your technology and business goals. Your business is unique. Our solutions are tailored to your current and future business goals. Our customer-first approach empowers and delights. TTSG can ensure your technology environment will scale as your business does. So as you navigate business and constant change, partner with TTSG for premium advisement and seamless implementation of your technology goals. We set the bar high. Your people deserve it. Peace of mind. Powerful innovation. TTSG.com. I'm going to need you to do a voiceover to do like the Michael Buffer intro for this podcast.
bring it on.
Like a Let's Get Ready to Rumble type thing.
I was
in accordance with Budweiser, the King of Beers, and Don King Productions, right? Do one of those.
Actually, in high school, I was most likely either be a game show host, a stand-up comedian, or probably a voiceover dude.
Yeah. I want to be a stand-up comedian. If you ever want to see a successful white-collar businessman absolutely turn red and get pissed off, you should have been in the meeting with my father and I at University of St. Thomas as he was begging them to let me into the school based on my grades. And the guidance counselor is like, hey, so what do you want to do with your life? My dad's like, please give a business answer. I'm like, I think I want to be a comedian. He turned bright red. He was so pissed. I can't believe that I got into the school, but that didn't work out so well. So you're now on the radio. You're announcing. You're doing the mic for the broadcast. Give us some of the fun stories that you have of interacting with people, or an amazing game that you announced.
Sure. So, it's fun because I got to show up, 45 minutes to an hour before the game. And there's kids that have slept over outside for the last 2 days trying to get into a Jayhawk basketball game. So I get there, put on the headset. I got to sit next to Dick Vitale a couple times.
No kidding.
Dickie V, baby, it was awesome. He's a PT beer diaper dandy, baby. Awesome. So that was a great experience. I remember a disappointing game. We were playing Long Beach State, and we were 17.5-point favorites. And back then, it was taboo to talk about lines or spreads. Yeah. Very different than today.
Now they're announcing them on the game.
Yeah, now you got announcers going, well, this could be good for Vegas sportsbooks.
They're calling a timeout because it's a 3.5 spread.
And I basically made a comment because we lost the game outright. And I'm like, wow, outright underdog. And Lucius Harris, I remember he went off for like 32 points or something. And we didn't lose at home. Like the Jayhawks never were unbeatable. And it broke our record of consecutive win streaks. But he went off and I'm like a 17.5-point outright underdog. And boy, I got lit up for that one after the game.
Who are the big time players that were there? Was Danny Manning there
Danny Manning was 88.
88, okay.
And that was the year they won the national championship. And I went there at 89.
Okay.
Just missed it, but I mean, it was still.
Who were the stars on those teams?
There wasn't a ton. It was
just solid.
Traditionally, just great teams. Rex Walters had transferred from Kentucky. Was it Calbert Cheney? Calbert Cheney maybe from Indiana. But then we had Mark Randall, we had Jacques Vaughn, we had Kirk Heinrich. So
Heinrich, Captain Kirk was there.
Captain Kirk was there. He was there maybe toward the later of my college career. But I mean, we always had good defense, a good big man, some good guards.
Who was coaching?
It was awesome. It was Larry Brown coached 88.
Yeah,
and then after he was done, we had Roy Williams.
Roy Williams then went to North Carolina.
Correct, and that was his dream job. I got the pleasure of interviewing Roy Williams. I mean, this guy, talk about open door. He'll go talk to any man, woman, child, grandma, doesn't matter. Like, this guy was salt of the earth, amazing guy. And then when we got Bill Self from Illinois, that caused a lot of ruckus because we lost Roy to his dream job.
Yeah.
We got Bill Self to his dream job. And then all my friends who are Illinois fans are really pissed. So. And they still are.
But Bill Self, man, he had a run at Illinois, and then I don't blame him for leaving and going to Kansas and then continued that run. What was he like?
I never got to interview him because I was long gone by then.
Gone.
But he's another guy, just salt of the earth. Seems like he'd be just extraordinary guy to go have a beer with and just pepper him with questions and be like, tell me some good stories, But yeah, that was great. I do have an interview with, we never had a good football team, and we were supposed to have one this year, and that kind of failed. But Dana Stubblefield, who had a great career, played with the 49ers.
Yeah. Defensive tackle?
Yes. Yeah. I have a good 10-minute interview with him on a cassette tape, because back then that's what we use. And my little Shure microphone.
Hold on. Let me get
much different than this gorgeous microphone that might go home in my car. But yeah, there were some great moments there. And, that's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be on ESPN. I thought I was going to do play-by-play for the Bulls and the White Sox and wherever, that's what I thought I was going to do. I mean, I had my own sports talk show, and I would always have very creative, like the Reds colored the Pirates, and just, little creative left hemisphere type things that, kept audiences coming back. And, it was fun. It was.
So what happened? What happened where you had that? I mean, you were in it. You were doing it, man. You're doing it. And I would have. Did you get burnt out? Were you?
Oh, no.
Were just something else came up? What happened?
So I graduated, And I was like, okay, I'm ready to go to Connecticut, go to ESPN. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to go get myself that, I'm going to go with, take over the public address announcer.
Let's go.
God rest his soul for the Bulls. And none of that happened. They're like, yeah, we're going to send you to Waukene, Kansas for $8,000 a year doing high school games. I'm like, eh? I'm like, I lived in Kansas.
How dare you make me start at the bottom?
I don't mind starting at the bottom, but I lived in Kansas 4 years. I still, this day, don't know where the hell Waukene is. So, and $8,000 a year, I'm like, I can go back to Chicago and mow lawns or work at a McDonald's. So
exactly.
I went home. I lived back home at my parents' house for maybe a year or two, saved some dough, and then went on to my own.
Saved $8,000.
And that's when I started knocking on doors and tried knocking on doors and being a peddler or merchant in brutal winters of Chicago. That's probably the least fun job I've ever had, but
luckily I have done that. For those of you that have not, it is something very interesting, especially post 2001 when, people started locking the doors after 9/11. Before that, you could get in. You might have to overcome the no soliciting and maybe somebody taking a swing at you, but you could get in.
I had to show a couple permits.
Yeah.
I actually was in Addison, and we get maps, and we go to the police station, get the legal permits to solicit.
Should we describe to people what a map is?
Yeah, it's this thing in the Atlas. Oh, wait, you don't know that one either.
It's on paper.
I still read the Sun Times in the morning with my coffee.
Yeah,
people are like, huh? Old school paper? I'm like, yeah.
Do what now?
Don't chat GPT that, because that comes out like an extinct, archaic form of
exactly. A manuscript, a scroll.
Yes. But you do learn how to take some no's. But I actually was in unincorporated Addison, which apparently the permit doesn't work in unincorporated. And one of the police, I don't know if he was a sergeant or a chief or whatever there. Well, I was doing a buy one, get one free golf promo. And it was all legit.
Mm-hmm.
And dude buys 5 of them from me. And he called the cops. He was the cop. He called the cops. And so I get picked up. I didn't get arrested or anything, but they brought me down to the station. I didn't know I was on a court. It was literally 1 block over. But the houses are a little nicer. I'm like, yeah, you can afford $20 for some golf. So that's why I went. But that was
that's interesting.
Far and few between. But I was always dressed up in a suit, knocking on doors. I had to train people. And that was awkward because they're like, this is what you do. I'm like, yeah. And look how easy this is. And
so similar path. I had a dream to be one thing. And then all of a sudden I found myself needing money. So I find myself in sales. It's one of those things where it's rare with people, I think, that are really good in sales, that it's actually their choice to become a salesperson. I think some of the best salespeople I ever interacted with or met with or worked with, they had some sort of other goal and they were trying to fund that goal. And then they came to find out that they were better at sales. And that sounds very similar to what you ran into. So you're doing door to door, and next thing you know, you're killing it. Other than getting arrested, you're crushing it.
Yeah. So I was, I don't know, there's probably like 2,500 reps doing what I was doing, and I was definitely in the top, if not the top. And things were going good. I thought, wow, I can open my own office, have people underneath me. But then my girlfriend at the time, her mom's like, you need to stop doing it. And it was long hours. I mean, we're talking, and it was in Elmhurst where the office was. And I was, living in, I think, like Hoffman Estates, Buffalo Grove, one of the 2 places. And that's a hike. And then afterwards, we'd all go out for pizza or something and talk about the day and then go home. I mean, this is like 12, 15-hour days. Thank God I'm not a big fan of the sleep product anyway. But those are some
and you
long
were
days.
young too.
I was young, and I was, and like, I always had a good attitude and a lot of energy and almost to spastic levels sometimes. But, it was, I always had fun at whatever I did. And by having fun at what you do, having a good attitude at what you do, I think is a huge part of why I've been successful in most of the things I've endeavored in. But my girlfriend at the time, her mom was on my case about, you work 2 long hours and you should, you're good at sales. You should sell computers. I'm like, and this is again, back in like, early 90s. Or computers. I'm like, I know nothing about computers. I was like the last person to have a cell phone. Like I think I was 21 or 22 when I got a cell phone. Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Kids today will be like, excuse me.
Yeah.
So
it's like a birthright now to have a cell phone. It's like you get your umbilical cord snipped and then they hand you a cell phone.
Yeah. I wanted an iPhone, not an Android. And so not my mother-in-law, but my girlfriend's mom, she's like, you need to call CDW and get a job there. So
this is in 1994. And by the way, 1994, CDW was not nearly the powerhouse that it is now, but it was one of the fastest growing companies in the history of the state of Illinois and one of the fastest growing companies in the United States at one point. But in 1994, when you walked through those doors, there's about 30 employees.
Yeah.
Right. So you're one of the OGs of the sales team, if you will.
Unfortunately, not some of the true OGs who got a nice compensation plan.
The penny stocks.
I missed it by a class or two, but It's all good. Made me work harder. So I was there for 16 years and the top rep for a good chunk of those. And then I moved to Paragon Micro, and I've been there about 15 years now. So 3 decades in the IT sales industry.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So what are some of the keys that you've learned? Maybe some of it was innate. Maybe some of it was taught early on, but what are some of the keys to being effective in sales that you rely on and that you teach others?
The positive attitude, but other people, like really surrounding yourself with great people. I had a good teammate over at my former, but at Paragon, for example, my teammate, Rob Coates, we call him the boat, best of all time. He's like a mini engineer. He's good at sales. He's thorough. I mean, both of us are like ADD, HD, and type A and OCD. Yeah. So like we're very meticulous. And
you're in a safe space.
He works even harder than he's just amazing. So I have a great teammate. Our assistant Jackie, we call her the queen of everything. QOE. She takes care of all the nightmares and the problems and fixes that and keeps 2 type A people she's on the same page.
Yeah, she's a great offensive line for a star running back, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, I'm blessed with, my boss isn't my CEO, Jeff, and our VP, Todd, I both know from the former and amazing people to work for. Jeff Reimer's turned this place into one of the fastest growing companies in VARs as well, where we've been on, Illinois top companies to work for. So,
nice.
The industry's changed. COVID really kind of messed things up and people's work ethics a little bit, but there's just not the sense of urgency, I think, in life or my job or in general anymore, which is fine. But when you're someone like me, you kind of need that.
Yeah, you need speed.
I need to keep moving, right?
Yeah, you're like a shark. If you're not moving, you're dying.
So, but I've been pretty blessed, between, Michael Krasny, who started CDW, he was huge for my family. We had twins and went through IVF, and they paid for everything. And my wife had, I don't even know how many ultrasounds. We had to go a lot. They were born at, super early. They were born at 28, 29 weeks or something like that. So they were in the NICU for 7 weeks. And that was an experience, having, a mom in particular.
What did that teach you?
One, it changed my life because now I wasn't just responsible for myself and my wife, but now I'm responsible for other people, like kids and stuff. So I remember when they were born, so they were born out with, the funny story is I used to own racehorses. And so I'm at the track. My buddy was in from California, and I talked to Christy. She was going to go get an ultrasound. Mike and I were like, we're going to go to the track. We're going to come home. We're going to kill it there. Come home. I'll grill out some steaks and next thing you know, we're betting our first race, and I get a frantic call. Christy's like, I'm having the babies. I'm like, you're doing what? I'm like, they're supposed to be born on Halloween, and it's August.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's like,
do what?
I'm like, you were supposed to go in for an ultrasound. We're supposed to be having steaks on the grill later. She's like, you need to get here. So
did you hop on a horse?
Oh, I wish. Luckily, the car was there, and it was probably faster.
Yeah.
So my buddy and I'm like, all right, so we placed bets for the whole rest of the card.
You made sure to get your bets in
She
first.
wasn't having the kids at that exact moment. They had to, it was going to be a day or two because they had to pump steroids to get the lungs developed enough to be healthy born. So we place our bets. We rush to the hospital. We see her, and obviously they kept her overnight. And that was wild. So it just sped up my process. I thought I was having the summer of 42, and it went into, you're about to be a dad times 2.
Yeah.
So they ended up, so my friend Mike went back to California, and the doctor, I was hosting a fantasy football draft. And So I had a bunch of dudes coming over for a draft and drinking beer and good old time. And my wife's like, so I'm telling the doc, I'm like, all right, so let's get this, they're coming out Monday, right? He's like, and I didn't even know that obviously I was a little naive back then. I wasn't a dad yet, but I'm like, you're not going to do this on a Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They did it on a Sunday. So I'm like, okay, this is my first exhibition on how to be a responsible parent, right?
Pretty sure babies don't take a break on Sunday. They just come out when they're ready.
Yeah. And so my wife's, all looped up and trying to have twins super prematurely. And Zach came out first, and then Braden came out second, and but he didn't come out right away and didn't make some noise, so we were like concerned. But she's basically puking in the dish, and and the doctor's like, "Do you want to come cut the umbilical cord?" I'm like, "You went to school 17 years for this? No,
you got that.
I played baseball. I coached for 16 years baseball and softball, but I ain't playing Johnny Bench today.
I could teach him how to throw a curveball, but I'm not cutting that thing.
No, and we're not squatting, and my knees are shot now at age 53. But so that was a crazy experience, and my wife's a saint. She's for sure going to heaven. I'll be to be determined, maybe. But she's like, and she was still looped up a little bit. And she looks over and she's like, I'm like, how you feeling? She's like, I want a Miller Lite and you got to get to your draft. That's what my wife's thinking.
Wow.
Doped up having two kids, Does
she run any training classes or anything like that?
She's amazing.
She'll write a book.
So I'm like, are you serious? And so she's like, go. You can't do anything here anyway. So I hopped in my car, and I'm not a fast driver to begin with, but I'm like going about as fast as I ever have to try to get home in time. Luckily, my brother still lived in Illinois, so he was there to set up and let people in and everything. And I remember I'm on 53 going home, flying, and I just jacked on the brakes like, I'm like, whoa, we're going 65. I got other people. I got to be responsible now.
So that kicked in.
It was almost immediate. You know what I mean? So
wow. So you did the 180 immediately, time to grow up.
Immediately.
No more placing bets.
No, we stopped doing that. I play fantasy sports. That's enough. And the
boys are identical or fraternal?
They're fraternal.
Okay.
So they were born at 2 and 4 pounds. Yeah, and they're on all sorts of Bunsen burners and tubes. And
now they're probably like 6'4" and
one of them's almost 6'6", and they're both 20 now. He's in college. He pitches. He's going through Tommy John surgery. He's about a year plus removed from Tommy John, so he's
getting close.
He's getting real close, and he's putting in the work, and he looks phenomenal. And then Braden, his 2-minute younger brother, he's got some special needs. He has autism.
Okay.
But he's high functioning, super smart, just not people-y.
What's his thing? Like there's all
electronics for sure.
Yeah.
He is plugged in 24/7, but he, on top of the autism, he has ADHD, anxiety disorder, and a progressive hearing loss in both ears.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's a complex young man. He's not a kid anymore, but he's awesome. And he's the easiest of our three. My daughter, she's also a pitcher.
Okay.
And she's going through labrum surgery right now. But she's a junior. As a sophomore, she was 15 years old and took Mundelein High School to state.
That's awesome.
Set all sorts of crazy records, got first team all state in Illinois as a 15-year-old. So that was pretty wild, but she's not going to be pitching this year.
So your two athletes are all about the full send, apparently.
Yeah.
They're all about full send, throwing it as hard as they can. That rotator cuff went.
I'm telling you, having two pitchers, it's like my ulcer in my ears. It's like
the hands are calloused.
It's like, I mean, I can't sit at a game. And I coached, so it was probably good. But that was after 8 years of the boys and 8 years of the girls. Now I'm dad. Shay plays on a national travel team, and I'm like, I'm just dad, and I pace. And having a pitcher, it's like, you know what? If I had any more kids, which is probably not going to happen, I would say, no, you're going to strike out, make errors, and play the field like everybody else.
Like everyone else. At what age did they get where you were like, I don't know if I want to warm you up anymore?
Oh, that's easy. Zach's always been a bigger kid, but not to this. He's like tall and shredded now. He's really grown into his body. But yeah, he was about 13 years old. And I've had
80 miles an hour.
So I've had some eye surgeries. I've had cataracts in both eyes. I've had one detached retina in this eye, 2 detached retinas in this lucky eye, including having my eyeball come out. They shaved the white down, put a buckle around it, and laser that sucker back in. So I knew I wasn't going to be catching Zach anymore after those.
No.
And then my daughter, that's an easy one because that was Easter 2020 COVID. I quit dipping that day and catching for Shay because the movement.
That's the thing I was going to say. The women's softball pitchers, it dives low, which means you get a lot of short hops.
Some short hops. She also had a rise ball. Her fastball move.
Yeah.
Zach's curveball. He didn't like his curveballs. He called it a loopy, slow one. But I'm like, yeah, but throw that first pitch first.
Oh yeah.
No one's going to want to swing at it.
Yeah.
But it just got. I didn't want another eye surgery. I wanted to see my kids grow.
Yeah,
up
absolutely.
So, it's amazing I can see after all the surgeries. But So I Easter 2020 threw my dip out. Never had a dip since, been nicotine free, and stopped catching for her. And
So your son with special needs, how has that changed you as a person, as a father, as a man?
Patience. I've never really been a patient person. It's like I want some, I go get it. That's whether it's
that's
for
a
work
good thing and a bad thing, right?
Yes, it's a strength and a weakness, kind of like my passion. Sometimes my passion gets misconstrued for over the top negativity or something, and it's like no. I'm into this, and I care about everything I do. Like if I was gonna be a janitor, you'd be eating off my floors because that's gonna be the
I'm gonna get it right
floor you're ever gonna see. So I have a lot of pride in everything I do. But with Braden, it taught me a lot of patience.
So you're a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that,
but knowing that I'm not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
That's
the mindset thing, right?
It's like you shoot for the stars, or you shoot for the moon and end up on a star. Or
fail forward.
Yeah. So I know I'm not going to be perfect, but if you don't try and don't put that effort in, then why go through the motions and do shit half-assed?
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to do something, go for it. Head first, shallow end, kind of my motto.
Yeah. What was the moment where, as a father, I would imagine you hear that news, and then as you're, there's probably an age they get to where leading up to that, you're really battling with it. But then at one point, your son probably has or does something where you go, wow.
It's what he did.
This is really amazing. This is actually really amazing. He's just blown my mind. He's changed the way I think. What was that moment, perhaps, for you?
It's what he wasn't doing. He wasn't talking, and he was nonverbal for his first. Most kids are talking by 2, 3. He was 3.5, and still not. But he had the progressive hearing loss.
Okay,
so he wasn't hearing what normal people hear. He was hearing garbled sounds and stuff like that, and so. Chaos and loud rooms were just
I'm sure. Jeez.
Now throw in autism and anxiety disorder and ADHD, and it's just like,
that's like a
it's a Molotov cocktail of what's going to happen next. So, but when he wasn't talking, we're like, okay, something's going on. So we didn't even know until because he went to public school, his first couple of years. And then we found out, you could see that the eye contact was lacking. But we actually changed schools for a couple of years, and he just started doing some great things. He's always been smart. Like, he wasn't a big talker and didn't want to be around people unless he wanted to. But when he said something, it was either profound or funny. And he took a real liking to countries, presidents, languages. He would watch freaking Lion King in German, and he called it German, in different languages.
Just unreal.
It was. I'm like.
It's like he's tapped into a whole different side of the brain or portion of the brain that, your everyday Joe like us just doesn't tap into.
Yeah. And in essence, he likes what he likes. I like what I like. You probably
what's the difference? Yeah.
He's going to do it with us forever in his little bubble. And, he graduated, high school at Mundelein with his brother. So he got great grades. COVID was probably a great thing for him, because he does his best work at home because he doesn't really want to go out, but he got his grades improved. He got to, go on Zoom, and that was a little bit more socialization than maybe he would have done. And so, but the bond that I got with Braden through COVID and the patience that he taught me was extraordinary, because I knew at about, maybe 6 or 7, like, yelling is not going to work with this child. Like, that's going to shut him down. So you had to, and I coach individually. I don't one size fits all. I don't
coach a system, coach the person individually.
I don't like managers and directors who do that. Like you have to treat everybody different because what makes me tick is not going to make everybody else tick, and vice versa. So I really took a focus on treating my 3 kids individually, and it's hard when you got twins, but they're individuals, and I really focused on that, and I focused on my bond with Braden and how I need to really calm myself down when I, when there's an issue or something that he needs to be doing. So it really taught me that level of patience, that groundedness, and it just made me a way better dad, better husband, better person. And him and we're great. Like
buddies.
He's amazing. I call him Mr. Incredible. I mean, all 3 of my kids are freaking special in each of their own ways, but Braden's doing things that I didn't know if he would ever do. And my wife and I remember the first day they got to come home out of the NICU, like they're in Evanston for 7 weeks, and they come home, and actually, Braden got to come home a day earlier because Zach was still having problems breathing on his own. And so first night was okay. Second night, they both came home. And I remember we're in our kitchen at 4 a.m. going, we're in over our heads. What are we going to do? Like, there's 2. I'm like, hey, let's just get on a schedule. Every 4 hours, we're going to feed them. And that's what we're going to do. My mother-in-law was a big help. She came and stayed with us for a couple of weeks or a month. And, so she took over some of the 4-hour feeding times, like, 2 in the morning. Good thing is I'm kind of nocturnal and I only sleep for about 4 or 5 hours.
I can't imagine.
I know, right? So, that didn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
And, at that point, it's like, this is what we got to do. And I'll be tired all day for my kids,
So we see in these types of relationships, first off, the world is designed for a level of normality. Like, the way that it's set up, the structure of the world, the way systems run, it's set up for a level of normality. Naturally, folks that are born with some sort of disability or autism or whatever it might be, their normality is different than our normality. So just surely by living, they have adversity in this type of world. So it's always fantastic to hear that his positive skills and assets are thriving. And to that point, you see a lot of families that have a special needs child that have siblings. The siblings that thrive, like your other 2 are thriving at athletics, often become the hero of the child with special needs. But if you ask the other 2, they'd probably tell you that the child with special needs is their hero. They get inspiration from that on a regular basis because they see that adversity. Is that something that you're nodding your head? Maybe not so much, but that is something that we do see.
Maybe not so much outwardly. I think inwardly they probably do feel that way.
Yeah.
But it was tough, especially being a twin. I'm sure when they were younger, and, because Braden beats to his own drum, So I try to put myself in Zach's shoes and, regardless, you're there to protect them. You know what I mean? And
that's got to be tough.
Yeah. And, but you know what? The kids at the school were all great. It's different than when we went to school. Like
bullying is kind of stopped a little bit.
Yeah, they do it by trolls behind keyboards.
Behind keyboards. It used to be the bully just hit you in the face on the playground and took your lunch.
3 p.m., pal.
Yeah, that's it. That was it, yeah.
And the special needs kids at schools now, they're
almost like
awesome.
Stars.
Yeah, and like a lot of them are in like homecoming courts.
Yeah.
And it's great to see.
It's so great.
It's awesome to see. And I looking back, I just don't see that happening back in the day.
No.
So we've come a long way. And that was one of my fears. Like, I don't want him getting picked on because he's not going to be able to defend himself. He's not built that way.
Yeah.
So it was nice that we did have Zach and to kind of look over him. But yeah, my kids have formed me, especially through coaching, because I've coached for 16 years at some pretty good high level of baseball and softball, and I have how I coach. I have a saying called CASH.
Okay.
Confidence, attitude, swagger, hustle.
Love it.
And I've kind of lived my life by CASH.
That's the get shit done attitude right there.
Yep. And then the other mantra, my wife and I, and also team on it at Paragon Micro, Rob and Jackie and I, make shit happen. And
love it.
The $H, make shit happen.
You're on the right podcast, man.
Yeah. And so it's been a journey for sure. But I'm proud of my wife and I, and and my wife just recently beat cancer.
Amazing.
So she had cancer. It's funny because my whole life I've been pretty much happy-go-lucky, and
you keep getting this adversity thrown at you.
Yeah, I love it. Bring it on. Makes
Maybe
you
it's because you can handle it.
Hey, I knew when we had the twins early, and the doctor's like, got any questions? I'm like, one, are they going to make it? He's like, about 90% chance. I'm like, oh, I'll take those odds.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I need to hear.
After you had bet on horses before you got there, you would have taken those odds all day.
All day long.
Yeah.
So, that's all I need to hear. But having adversity has made me stronger, more resilient, not give up. Don't get down. Like when you get down, get your ass back up. Like, you're going to fail in life, especially playing baseball and softball. That's like the ultimate failure sports.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get up from that and set proper realistic expectations and perspectives, and you don't have that cash, confidence, positive attitude, swagger, and hustle, like those are the keys to life, in my opinion. And and that goes in life and relationships and school and work. If you're not confident in what you do, you're going to fail at some point. If you don't have a positive attitude, you're going to fail at some point. If you don't got that swagger and people know, you're going to fail. And if you don't hustle, someone's going to out-hustle you, outwork you. And that's what I've always kind of taught all my kids, outwork everybody. You're never going to be the best maybe, but outwork them, out-hustle them, and good things are going to happen. And regardless what happens with pitching for either of my two pitchers, my wife and I are already super proud, over the moon. And it's like, your results mean nothing. It's how you get to that point through the journey and how you reflect back later. That's what's going to make you a winner. And they're all winners already. And whether they get full scholarships to D1 or not, like awesome if it happens, we're already proud. So I told my son this weekend when he came home, like, you've done more than I got to do.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to go play ball, and it was a wake-up call. I got to grab a microphone and broadcast it,
There you go.
So it's, my kids and my wife have built me, as well as, the racehorses and knocking on doors and IT sales and some of the hardships. I was, it's not always been great, but you know what? Doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
I know that mindset is something that is an accumulative effect. Things keep coming and you just keep moving forward. But where do you think that that's rooted in? Where did that come from your upbringing? Was that something that was instilled in you? Was that something that was innate to you and you just had it and you've come to the realization that you have it now looking back? Where did that come from?
A lot of the work ethic. I mean, my parents worked hard. So I think I got some good work ethic qualities from them. The positivity, I think, just came from my life experiences and what I did when things didn't go my way. And it's easy to throw a tantrum, which I've done plenty in my life. I mean, in my report cards, is lack self-control is the most popular comment probably. But guess what? I grew up, but I think, so I was always pretty much happy-go-lucky, didn't have a care, just, move forward. And then when the cancer hit and the Tommy John hit, like all that was kind of, and COVID, was going on. Like 2023 was really a big wake-up call for me. I never had a year like 2023. My wife and I don't fight. Like, we don't even argue really. Like, so almost 25 years, and she can still put up with me. God bless her. But when the thought of losing her, that was like, oof, what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that. Like I'm not ready for that yet. And yeah, so. But she, just watching her get up at 4:30 in the morning, driving to the hospital, and I'd offer to go with. No, she just wanted to do her routine, drive, go get her radiation treatment, and go straight to school where she works and work a full day, come home, and she was beat by then. But I mean, she did it every day, never once complained, never bitched. She was tired, it hurt, never complained, never stopped being super mom. She was just. And I'm just looking at her going, okay, I think I'm Superman some days, but this is above and beyond. And just watching, and I was going through a rough time as well, just trying to cope with that and cope with everything else going on. And, there were a lot of changes going on at work. And I'm like, man, if she's got the possibility of dying and she has cancer and she's not complaining, like I can't complain about anything. Right.
Yeah.
And so it just struck me as a wake-up call more than anything, like, all right, and usually I was my own therapist, my own.
So like
wake-up
you
call.
had a moment where you got a little selfish, like what's going to happen with me, and then
More
you quit.
scared though.
Yeah, and then you quit, but rightfully so. Like what what's going to happen here, and then you snap to, probably because you saw how your wife was handling it, right?
Well, part of it was scared too because I'm one of the few people left in this world. I'm not married to my phone, and I have no followers and very little digital media print. Come find me.
Yeah, I tried to.
LinkedIn. That's about it.
Yeah.
So I was, and my wife's the CFO, so it's like I haven't written a check in 25 years, and like I don't do like all the accounts and passwords. Like I hate when I have to do a new password at work. I'm like, I'm 53, I can't remember all these passwords. So that was like a wake up call too. So, but again, when that adversity is thrown at you, it's like, how do you respond to it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching my wife respond in a way that I didn't know was an option.
She just found another gear.
Yeah. And it kicked me into another gear and said, all right, I got to get out of my funk and we got to go back to MSH and life.
So I asked this with all the hope that the answer is as such. Are we in remission?
She has gone through all the radiation. She's gone through multiple 6-month screenings and she is clean and free.
Amen.
And, she's still got like 3.5 years before it's full screen, but every year is awesome. And every 6 months is great. And
what a weight lifted off
for a lot of people. And, I mean, my kids had to go through that. I had to go through that. And to say that it doesn't affect you as a man or as a father, it's like, whoo, and a husband. So again, you take life as it comes and you got choices. And it's, what do you want to do with those choices? And I don't stay down.
I can't imagine that you do. So you're at Kansas, right? And you're picking up on this broadcasting thing, and then next thing you know, you're buying horses, and then you're announcing horse races.
So twofold. So that was one of my life goals. I wanted to own a racehorse, and I may or may not have wagered underage on racehorses.
How did you get to the point of being able to buy a horse? Was that strictly from sales, or was that from your winnings from betting?
It was from a little bit of both. It was from sales and also some of my wins. I studied the California tracks and still do to this day. So I had a pretty good system, and we did pretty good at the horses. And I was also working at the racetrack. I was actually with my best man at my wedding, actually managing most of the bars and restaurants there, and Kobe's food court at Arlington. So I spent a lot of time at Arlington.
Okay.
More than most humans. And my wife had every opportunity to just kick me to the curb going from,
this is pre-kids though.
This is pre-kids for sure. Spending Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the track because that was my other job.
Yeah.
I was IT sales, but my weekend job was, let's go make some money at Arlington.
It's a little bit more justified when you're bringing home money though.
True.
Like I play golf. That's my thing. And so we've got this men's club, and at the end of the year, we divvy out the money and whatever. So I had a nice little check written to me this year from the wins. So then I kind of looked at my wife as I handed her the check, and she's like, "Okay, you can keep playing." She's like, "It's fine, keep going."
That's kind of how we paid for our wedding.
There you go.
I played plastic tip darts, and we'd go around. I said, "Hey, I'd like to go play darts and try to win some money." She's like, 6 nights a week. I'm like, well, I'll come with. And so she'd go with me, a couple times a week, but maybe once or twice. But the rule was I go out and I win. I take that money and we put it in a little wedding fund jar. And
there you go.
Who would have thought plastic tip darts would, for $5 blind draws.
I guess if you're good enough at it, it'll pay for a wedding.
I wish I was still that good. But
the eye commentary that you've had probably has not helped the dart throwing.
No, especially I got to wear my contacts for that one, not glasses. But I always wanted to own a racehorse, and so working at Arlington, I was around Arlington. I studied it. I knew people who were owners and trainers. Actually, somebody who went to my high school became one of the best trainers there at Arlington. So that was kind of neat. And so after I had saved up some money, and I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, I saved up money, and I went in with my partner who was already in the horse business, and he goes, "All right, you buy the horse, I'll put it in the race, I'll feed it, we'll train it, and we'll split 50-50. I'm like, wow, what a dream. So I bought a $5,000 little pony.
Okay.
First race, it was a Wednesday, and my mom came, my brothers came, my friends came, and so we're all at Arlington, and Nazo's Park, gray horse, closer. So my horse is dead last. I mean, we're not even on the big screen at Arlington. Like, and my mom looks at me, she goes, your horse stinks. And I'm like, I go, it's a closer. I told you this. So I was like, okay, it's going to be a long day. And I brought everybody out here. Keep in mind, my first race ever. You don't win first races when you own a horse.
I can't imagine
it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do, and then they chase it and they never win again.
Well, I don't know if I had lucky charms that day, but I think I definitely shat a 4-leaf clover later because my horse, who wasn't even on the big screen, started taking like 3 gallops for every other horse in the races won. And coming around the backstretch, my horse was flying. And it turned out to be a photo finish. I have the picture in my basement, literally by a nostril, a horse nostril. Nazo's Park wins the race.
Holy
And
cow.
it was like, I don't know if I've ever had a feeling of exuberance. Like it was just, I don't know. It's like if you did 3 shots of tequila real quick and then just were a complete jackass for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like just screaming and hooping. I remember coming around the backstretch, all of us were like, go. And it won. It actually won. So, and meanwhile, my partner's like, this never happens. It took 13 years to win my first race.
Yeah.
And so our second race out,
Amazing.
we took that money that we won and we bought another horse. And Mary had a little wolf, all one name, and it had a bleeding problem. So our trainer's like, I can fix this. So we wrapped it was choking on its tongue. And so we wrapped its tongue and we put this horse into like a $30,000 allowance race. We only paid $5,000 for the horse and went off at 19-1 and it won the race. It was nuts. And so I bought a couple more horses and that's kind of how it all
now you're in it.
Now I'm in it.
Now you're in it. Now you're not, but you're no longer a bettor at this point.
Right. And
now
so
you're a breeder. You're making things happen.
Well, thank God I'm not breeding them, but yes.
Yeah.
And then I didn't win another race.
Get the hell out. Are you kidding?
No, it's hard, right? And sometimes I'm the favorite and I'm like, oh, we're going to win it. No. And then you take 4th. So, I mean, we won money because you finish top 4.
Yeah.
But I remember one time we were in Cabo San Lucas and we were at Caliente, which is like a legalized like racetrack. And they got High Alliance sports and stuff. No table games or anything like that. But they have the horses. And sure enough, Arlington's running there. And so I'm telling people, and I speak Spanish fluently. So I'm like talking in Spanish. I'm like, oh, my horse, mi caballo. And so my horse goes off at 99-1. Of course, I played the horse.
You
right?
have to. It's your horse.
Other people when they're playing. Well, we told the jockey not to go to the lead. Stay back and try to close. What does our jockey do? Go straight to the lead.
Yeah.
So I have a 90.
Apparently, he doesn't speak English or Spanish.
And I was in Cabo, so I couldn't help translate. My horse takes out of the gate like a bat out of hell, is wiring the field, leading by like 5 lengths, 99-1. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in Cabo. They're not paying me out if this thing hits.
Yeah.
And
how did I end up in a jail? What did I do?
It ended up taking 4th, which was fine. It solved a lot of riff-raff problems,
yeah, I'm
probably, but it was unbelievable because I had everybody in this, in Cabo sports books, screaming at my horse. My name's on the board.
Yeah.
It's like, that's me. I'm in the third world country. It's great.
Yeah.
But those are just some of the fun things.
So how do you end up broadcasting for it?
So, well, the broadcasting wasn't,
or announcing.
Yeah. So that was just something I did on my own.
Okay.
Because of my broadcasting background.
Got it.
So, and my bosses at actually both companies, whenever we were on the president's trips, would always make me do a horse call. And so I kind of incorporate something, personalized.
So like President's Club, you're announcing the award winners.
Or I'll announce, somebody in particular there, or whoever the top rep was, or, I'll make up my own horse.
Okay.
And so, and it's funny because I've had to do that probably over 1,000 times in my life. And my boss, Jeff, now every time most of the times, Chris is like, how many times you can do this tonight? I'm like, probably about 7. Seven's a good mean average.
Well, I'm on drink number 6, so at least one more time.
But so I didn't officially ever broadcast horse racing. I can just do a horse call.
Got it. Care to give us one about the Get Shit Done experience?
Let's do it.
All right. You're just gonna riff one, right?
I'm impromptu, baby.
All right, here we go. We're at the what do they call it? The gate? The starting gate.
They're entering their stalls. Here comes 20. And the rough, here they come out of the turn. It's Bounce and Betty, trips to win, jump jack flash on the outside. It's 2 parts of length. It's Bounce and Betty, trips to win, jump jack flash. Here comes GSD on the outside. It's GSD, trips to win, Bounce and Betty, jump jack flash. Here comes Professor AJ out of nowhere, but no, it's GSD. They're running the 8 pole, and it's going to be Bounce and Betty by a leg. Over trips to win, jump jack flash. Here comes GSD. They're approaching the backstretch, and GSD's making a move. It's Bounce and Betty, trips to win, jump jack flash, Professor AJ, and GSD starts kicking it in. 2 lengths of a lead, 3 lengths of a lead, 4 lengths. It's going to be all GSD flying home. You're going to need wings to catch GSD. Bounce and Betty, trips to win. We'll round it up. 8 to win, 4 to place, 3 to show. Here's the next one.
IT decision makers, this might sting. Frustrated with IT issues, security threats, and the stress of your technology infrastructure? Your technology should blend seamlessly with your business objectives. Technology infrastructure management with limited resources can be exhausting and counterproductive. Do you have an MSP but still have problems and technical hiccups? GSD's advisement, proactive maintenance, cutting-edge cybersecurity, cloud solutions, data backup, and local 24/7 help desk can change the game. Your technology should outpace your business operations to allow for growth, and proactive strategies should prevent issues before they arise. Get back your time and your money with GSD. Drive business forward. Leave the technology to GSD. GSDnow.com. Let's go. That is going on our website. That is now a TV commercial. That was awesome. GSD Thanks. With the win. I love it. Okay, so now you go from CDW to this amazing new venture growing rapidly. We're talking about Paragon Micro. And so give us the whole scoop on what's happening there and kind of what you're doing with your amazing team.
So a lot of us left our former to go there. For everybody has their own reasons. And in fact, our president and CEO, Jeff, came from there. And he has made some great hires in leadership, in technology, and invests in his reps. And he's been a good friend of mine for a long time. We were both in sales at the former.
So you didn't go to the company, you went to work with him.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I actually came over late. I was still trying to, give it one last college try at my former. And, and Jeff also, was, hey, don't come if you're not ready. He was always,
he wanted you all in, man.
And so, but our wives are good friends. We used to vacation together and stuff. So when I did make the move in 2010, it was tough, Yeah. I'm not a big fan of taking 3 steps back to hopefully go forward, but I also knew I had my cash, right?
Yeah.
And that C is going to make me go a step or 2 backwards maybe, but I'm going to go back forward. Mm-hmm. And it happened quick.
You guys said all the attributes and skills that you had developed over years of selling. Those don't go away.
No.
Right?
I mean, and I was a workaholic too, especially like when we had our kids. I told my wife, I said, listen, I mean, kids don't really remember too much until they're 5. And outside of, pooping, eating, crying, and sleeping.
Yeah. Sounds like my weekend.
Yeah, I know, right? Mine too. So there's not much you can do. So I said, I am going to really, really go after it these 5 years. I was already going after it. And when I'm 5, I'm going to turn super dad. And I think, a lot of people are like, yeah, sure. There's no switch you can flip, but I can flip
that switch.
I flipped that switch because I knew. And I did. And as soon as they were 5, I was all in and super, and not that I wasn't invested before, but I really wanted to make a better life for everybody, right? So, and it worked out. It worked out the way I envisioned it. It worked out the way I said it was. And I'm just very blessed. And I've had great customers. I've had great coworkers. I've had great bosses. I've had a great support system with my friends. My wife's, she's over the top ridiculous, and my 3 kids, and keeping it real and being honest, and which is not always associated with sales, that's been my go-to, my passion.
So you've been a top selling producer for the extent of your career. You've been in the top 5, top 3, number 1, wherever it is, and at some prominent organizations that are doing some things. What is the key? You talked about, positivity, but what is the key to selling IT solutions, whether it be hardware and software? What's the key to that?
Well, a couple. One, my mom always told me, never rip anyone off in sales because that will be the last sale you get.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of always kept that in the back of my mind. And my goal when I started was I want to see if I can make 100 friends, and friends don't have friends over. So, if you build 100 friends and you got that relationship, and I knew my work ethic, I knew what I was going to bring to the table. I mean, reliability in there and, I mean, I think
refuse to lose.
I think I've had 5 sick days in 30 years.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of
them. And 2 of them were last week.
Well, half of one on my birthday, of course, go figure.
Yeah.
But just always just really just going after it in a positive way and building friendships and relationships. I feel like the relationships is what's kept me alive through this. And I mean, it's been a rough go since COVID. I mean, I've actually lost customers to death out of the industry.
Because you've had them so long.
Yeah. I'm 53, so they're either my age or older. And so some died, some got out of the industry, some retired. A lot of customers got bought out. Just the world changed. It's just different times, and it's adapting, right? When you're in sales, you got to adapt. There's going to be always things you don't like, and that's always happened in my sales career. And I've taken a different approach since 23 when 2023 was definitely the roughest year I've ever had in my life. And I took a step back to go forward. And I actually, like I had mentioned before, I was my own therapist. I always got myself out of my own jams, my own downs, and nothing really kept me down too long. But when I was, I'm like, hey, wake up, Johnson, let's go. And it just wasn't working. And so January of 24, I actually reached out and saw somebody. And that was hard for me because I was all for other people, always going for therapy, but not me. I'm too strong for that, right? No, me too, right? So I found an amazing woman, and January of 24, we started talking, and it has probably been one of the best things I've done in my life. And it has got me back on track, back focused, found myself, but in a new version. And so it's
so what was the key to that? Because you're talking to somebody with massive depressive anxiety disorder. I've dealt with it for a long time. I've been to therapists, and this go around, similar to yours, December 19th of last year, got a little out of control, got a God tap.
Yeah.
God said, no, not now. You're going to wake up right now. And for me, it was, I had been through all the therapy and all the different things. For me, it was diving into God. That was it. And that worked for me. Not saying that's for everybody. I wish it was for everybody. I hope it for everybody. But that was what I needed at that moment. Literally spoke to me. Heard it. For you in this journey that you're on in this therapy, once you get over that hurdle, and the first therapy is really hard because you really got to dig deep.
Where do you begin?
And you got to go deep. Oh my God, you got to go deep. And it's like
1971 Naval Hospital.
Oh my God,
that's where
holy shit. The first time I went to therapy, I think it was an hour long. I think I spoke for about 13 seconds and then cried for an hour for 59 minutes and 47 seconds, right? Couldn't get it out. So
it's hard to be vulnerable.
Very hard.
And not everyone can do it.
And it's amazing because you're trying to overcome shame, regret, whatever's causing that thing. And all you feel is shame and regret that you're there trying to get over the shame and regret. Yeah. It's so hard. So what was it for you? What makes her so wonderful? What were you trying to find?
So she's easy to talk to. And I felt like if I didn't go like everything else I do, head first shallow end, this isn't going to work. And it's going to be a waste of her time and mine. So I just let it all out.
Yeah.
And she got it all. She, and my God tap was when Chrissy was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
That was my God tap. It's like, okay.
So you think maybe you were tired from that?
I've always...
From all that journey, you had to be so strong.
You do.
With her.
With her.
Yeah.
For my kids.
But
for myself.
But behind closed doors, you're going, what the F?
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know. And the good news about cancer, and sadly, it's still this taboo topic. And you hear someone get cancer. Oh my God, they're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not. Not everybody, right?
Yeah.
We've come a long way. And if you detect things early, there's time.
And the power of positivity.
And the power, that is absolutely positive.
It's an energy.
Your brain is a weird beast. And if you think shit's going to go wrong, it probably will.
It will.
It's easy to get into a rabbit
hole.
And
all the negativity creates cortisol, and that can't be good for cancer.
Put me seeing Dr. Carey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't get out of that rabbit hole, and I used to be able to pull myself out.
Yes, that's the thing.
My ears were not long enough anymore to pull myself out. So I needed help. And
so it takes massive balls to go get therapy. You go into the first one, you pour it all out.
Vulnerability.
You pour it all out. You get back in the car, and you're literally drained, just destroyed. Sobbing driving home.
Did I just get run over?
Yeah. And then you walk through the door and your wife is like, oh, can't wait to, and you're like,
I don't even know.
I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, I don't know where that shit came from, but it just all comes out.
Yeah.
And
I've never been depressed. Like, I've not been a depressed person.
It's hard.
And you get there and you're like, wow. I remember going, listen, I got to be strong. Like, I've always been the rock for everybody, right? And I always wanted to be that guy. Like, it's funny. Like, small, inane, stupid shit drive me to Jupiter and back. Like, just I'm still working on dealing better with the stupid shit in life. But if there's a big deal, if there's something I'm the guy. Like, I'm the guy.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Go to.
If there's blood, you want me involved.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of life.
But if you leave your slippers in the middle of the kitchen, I'm gonna flip out. Like, what are we doing? Pick that up.
Yeah, and it's like I've had a lot of life experiences, good and bad. So I think I have a lot to offer in a way of advice sometimes, and or just being there or whatever it takes, right? But my God tap was that, and then my niece, who's 12 years old, she got diagnosed with cancer, and she just had her last chemo a couple weeks ago. So, it's like, how do you get through those bad times? And it's like, I remember my wife telling Zach one time when he didn't make this baseball team, she goes, are you just going to lay down and quit? You can get your ass up and fight and go get it.
She's a real one.
And she's real. Johnson's keep it real. And he got up and he worked so hard and put himself in a position he hasn't even pitched a live pitch yet in a game for his junior college, and they've kept him on scholarship. Even though he redshirted, he got to travel with the team often. So he's done a lot of cool things. They think he's a leader. He's got great work ethic, and that probably helped that my daughter started pitching, and she got pretty good pretty fast too. And that kind of let Zach know that, like, okay, like, if she can do it, I can too. Probably.
So do you feel free now?
I don't know free. Like, we're getting there, right?
You're still working through it.
It's a work in progress. I feel so much better. So much better. One, Christy's, she's free and clear. My niece is free and clear. So those are two things that were like really bothering me. My job's gotten super tough, but the job's going to be the job, and you just got to keep grinding, just keep grinding.
I don't know how we got on this topic. I'm so glad that you brought it up. There's so many people in general that are battling with this and struggle with this, but being a man to man, this is a very difficult topic for men.
Yeah.
We're taught our whole life,
don't cry,
be strong,
get up,
man up is a term. And the amount of shame and regret that men are carrying that they won't face, they won't deal with unless it's by themselves in a alone moment, which is the most dangerous time to deal with shame, regret, and depression, is when you're alone. Isolation is absolutely key. So, I don't know what I want to get across with this message, but I would just tell you that it's always a wise idea to check in on the people that appear to be very happy, because Aaron and I both have very strong personalities, and I could, especially being in sales, you have to become a bit of a chameleon. So I could walk into a sales presentation or even into a recording of a podcast and be absolutely destroyed inside, and you would never know it.
Yeah.
So
Flip that switch.
flip that switch, baby. So there's probably somebody in your life right now that is carrying an appearance, a hard shell of they're happy, they're doing it, everything's good. And you're never going to check in on them where you actually ask, how are you doing? And they say, I'm fine. And then you say, no, how are you doing? And they can hear it in the tone of the voice that you actually really want to know how they're doing. I would beg of you to think of one or two people in your life and ask that question in that way, and then encourage them to do what Aaron did and what I've done as well, which is to go seek help. It's a chemical thing, man. It's not a choice.
No. And if you need help, you don't have to go forever.
No.
Just go talk to someone that it's weird. You talk to a stranger and it's like, I'm not opening up to a stranger, and you get there and it's like, bleh, and you just barf out everything. And it's like, I just barfed out 53 years.
Yeah.
But do it. You just have to do it nowadays. You know what I mean?
If you don't want to take that step to go see somebody, here's what I would ask you to do. Take out a blank journal. Literally go back to the first memory that you have and write down in order all the way back the things that upset you, rubbed you wrong, pissed you off, made you feel bad, made you feel less than, swept your legs out from underneath you, made you look at yourself in a way that you shouldn't. Write it all down. Give it a day, go back and read it, and you'll giggle at it because you'll go, it's so in the past, but you're hanging on to it.
And if you get down that rabbit hole, that's a sign. Like if you can't get out of that funk,
Yeah.
go ask for help.
Ask for help.
Because it gets better. It just does, and I'm getting back to a better version of what I thought was a decent version before.
So you faced a lot of adversity, and that attitude that you have has been a tremendous strength, but it also probably has created some of this in that, hey, keep getting up. Sometimes you don't deal with the things that you need to deal with.
Yeah.
But now you're dealing with it, and that's fantastic, and it's probably freeing, and it's a work in progress and never stops. It's not like a scratch that heals and then goes away eventually, right? It stays with you. You got to keep working it. What's your hope for your career going forward? Now that maybe you have a different perspective that's even stronger than you had before January, you probably are in a stronger mindset. So are we breaking records this year or what?
We're doing pretty good. With IT sales, I'm just grinding and just keep grinding and, not worry. I never really worry, but in sales, you kind of got to worry because every month starts over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, knowing that I have other things in my life, that it's not just all job. I mean, there was a time before kids and before
that
Christy,
was all it was, yeah.
I was all work. I mean, work was number one, and it just can't be and it shouldn't be for anyone really, unless you're, not married, don't have kids or a pet or anything.
You're looking for that work-life harmony.
Yes, the balance. And, I think once IT sales are done, I definitely want to get back into coaching. That's something I know I was good at.
Have you made a conscious choice to not move into the C-suite?
What's a C-suite?
Like a COO or a CEO or a CFO or a CMO or a CSO or a CGO? Is there any other CEOs or whatever? There's a lot of them. Have you made a conscious choice to stay a star player and not move into that management or that coaching role?
As my special needs son would say, nope, no thanks.
Okay.
Not
your wiring.
Babysitting is not my
got no time for it.
And that's a lot of management is dealing with the multiple personalities and sick days and being a boss. I don't even know how they do it. I have mad respect for them. My best attribute in sales is to make money in sales and build relationships,
get shit done,
and help other people hopefully grow too, or see what I'm doing and try to raise a bar or set a bar, and hopefully everybody passes me up, because then that's a great bar. If everybody's doing better than me, then that's good for our company. So, but just getting in coaching would be great. I've actually wanted to do a podcast, maybe tell some jokes.
Let's go.
Know. So we'll see what happens.
I know a guy who could help you. So we have folks in sales that listen to the podcast. We have a team of salespeople here. Give us 2 or 3 nuggets that you would tell an up and coming salesperson that they could absolutely write down, lock down, and map out and start using? If they came in tomorrow morning after hearing this podcast and they implemented it, it would be a game changer for them because it's been a game changer for you and other people maybe that you trained.
Mindset. Got to have mindset. Like, you got to set out. Like, I'm not a big goal guy, right?
Mhm.
Like, it actually gets on my nerves when, like, well, what are you going to do when your goal is here? I'm not Nostradamus.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Goals are expectations too.
What I
And
do
don't like
know
that.
is I'm going to bust my ass.
Yeah.
And I think I have 30 years of a track record that shows you what I'm going to probably do.
Mhm.
I've been very consistent, right? So I don't like the goal thing, but you have to have some sort of journey and destination piece. So, I mean, a mindset going into it.
What do you use to get into that
A
mindset?
pot of coffee every day,
Amen, brother. Amen to that.
to be honest. But cash. Again, I'm going to go back to cash. What I coach all the kids.
Cash not in the material. We're talking acronym.
We're talking confidence, attitude, swagger, hustle.
Okay.
Those are 4 things you control.
Yes.
Okay. You know, in baseball and softball terms, you can't control umpires. You can't control your
Mhm.
team. You can't control the weather. You can't control all sorts of things. But you can control your confidence, a positive attitude, swagger, and hustle, right? And if you do those 4 things, good things are going to happen.
Yeah.
So I would write down cash. I'd write
Boom.
down MSH. Go make shit happen.
Mhm.
It's on you. Like,
Resourcefulness.
yes, be resourceful and don't be pushy. Like, don't be pushy. Be someone's friend. Be someone, give them a value, right? Show them why they might need you, right? And then most of all, you got to come through. Like, most people talk a big game, really shitty
Mhm.
executors. After 30 years doing this,
Do what you
I don't-
say you're going to do.
I don't really talk a big game anymore. I probably could, but what does that do, right? I'm not a big accolade guy like that. But at the same time, other people can see that, wow, he's still doing this at a pretty high level.
Mhm.
And hopefully, hopefully I can help other people get to what they want to do, because everybody's got different goals.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody's money focused. Not everybody's like family focused. Not everybody's like, everybody beats to their own little drum, and what makes AJ happy
I
might
think
not
that
make
goes to
anyone
your
else.
mindset thing, though. Like, if
Yeah.
you're not a money driver, you need to find something that does drive you, that you make the amplifier,
Make
right?
some relationships. Take them out for lunch.
Yeah, if that's your
one,
thing.
it could grow business, but 2, at worst case, you maybe got a new friend now, right?
Yeah. If making a friend is your thing, make that the mindset thing. Play that game. How many friends can I make? Can I make 100 friends? You make 100 friends in business, that's a network that is going to pay off for you and them.
Well, luckily
right?
in IT sales, there's a need there for
yeah.
people, and there always has been, and hopefully always will. So I was at least of worth to my customers
Mhm.
that I had what they needed, and they knew I'd do a good job. I'd give them a great
And
price.
they liked you.
And I mean, that was a slogan, like, people want to do business with people they like. And,
Know, like, and trust.
yeah, and reliable. Like, my teammate and I are workaholics, and we're logged in probably way too much. But I don't want to say we're doctors, but I feel like some days we feel like we're on call. But it also goes by how busy it is or not busy. But it's getting into cloud-based now, as opposed to all the hardware and software that we used to sell. It's just the industry's changing, our world's changing.
Mhm.
There's people that are more necessary in the whole process now that used to not be. And sadly, a lot of those people are ones that hold up the process. So it's like navigating. Navigating is
Mhm.
another good thing. You got to navigate through your day and your processes, because everybody's process is different. But if you can be a good navigator, you can have a good outcome, right?
Mhm.
And find a way to navigate when you do run into a roadblock. Actually, a guy I coached with sent my daughter a really nice message yesterday. He wasn't aware about her surgery. And he said, in short, he says, this is just a hurdle, not a roadblock. And you've already
Love
gotten over
that.
hurdles. So when
Amen.
you get over this roadblock, keep dreaming big.
Mhm.
So true, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're always going to run into hurdles. And it's like, if you're in the bad mindset, oh, I fell on this hurdle, I'm going to fall on the next one, I'm going to fall on the next one. Pretty soon, you're
creating
you
them.
got raspberries,
Yeah.
you're bleeding, and you're not achieving anything. So when you fall down, get back up, and I'm going to get over the next hurdle, or find a way to go around it,
Yeah.
right? Or go under.
Well,
it.
there's enough hurdles and obstacles just by the fact that you woke up. There is no reason for you to create any more for yourself by having the wrong attitude.
And mindset is key, and that great segue, because I used to be I'm a very regimented person. Like, I don't mind stability. I don't
Mhm.
mind
Yeah.
being boring and like the same stuff. But I used to wake up and God help the world if my son Times wasn't in the driveway or the dog woke me up barking.
Yeah.
Just something.
Creature of habit.
It's like when you wake up and you're looking for something to be pissed, you'll find it.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? You're going to find it all day long. Thanks, Dr. Carey.
And by the way, Dr. Carey, those things will stay with you even though you think they didn't.
They will stay all day long and they go into the next day.
Yep.
So mindset starts when you open those eyes.
Yep.
If you wake up with a bad mindset, it's going to be a bad day.
You know what? This might sound really weird to people, but when I'm standing in the shower, I try and have positive. Like I'm sitting there, I shave my head every morning. I know you can't tell because I've grown my bangs out, but I shave my head every morning. And as I'm standing there, I'm thinking about how do I win today? How do I create a win today? What's going to make me happy? What's going to make somebody else feel happy? Who am I going to compliment when I come into work? Like who can I say something nice to? How can I, if I'm going to post something on LinkedIn, rather than me posting something that's going to promote brands, how can I post something that maybe if one person reads it, they go, oh shit, my day's better now from reading that. Like I'll think about those things in the shower because I don't think that they naturally just happen. I think it is something, I think mindset is something you actually have to work. It's a muscle.
It's a cognitive effort.
Yeah.
And I love the complimenting. So when I coached, I got a lot of compliments from other teams. And I'd always compliment, if somebody makes a great play, they make a great play, especially when you're coaching 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? 15, 16.
Doesn't matter that they're not on your team.
People were floored that I would compliment the other team or give the girl knuckles.
Oh, yeah. God forbid you're a human.
A slap high five to the kid coming off for making it, even though it was against us.
Yeah.
That was a great play, right? Yeah. And I'd always get compliments from other teams about that. And they like playing against us because we did do that. And I like giving people compliments because you don't know what's going on in their head, in their home. You don't know if that player sitting on the bench, what happens with mom and dad, or even in their car ride home if they have a bad
Or
game.
if they've been struggling for 3 weeks and they're just dying for some sort of validation.
And so if I can make a difference by a compliment, by giving knuckles, slapping a high five, I'm going to do it all day, every day. And if you don't like it, that's too damn bad because that's me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to change that. That's good stuff. That's positive vibes right there.
Good stuff is right.
And I it's a running joke too. I guess when you have shitty eyesight after all the eye surgeries, I got to pay attention to detail. So I'm a very detail orientated. I pay attention to detail. I notice when, my wife, obviously I know when she gets her nails done or her haircut, but I notice some of my friends when they get their nails done or their hair done or something, if they change, I notice things like that, and you compliment them. And
guess what? If you make somebody feel good, they pay attention a little bit harder to the things that you have to say.
And maybe it makes them feel better. Maybe it makes them have a better rest of their day. You just never know what's going on. And if you can be positive in someone's life, I'm a big fan of karma. It's why I tip good.
But here's the best part of this, right? So I've asked you 3 times now, hoping that you would give me some sort of technical scientific sales answer. And here's the best part about it. You did in all 3 times. All 3 times you went to human emotion. You went to mindset. You went to make people feel good, make friends, navigate, have great follow through, be trustworthy, execute, do what you say you're going to do. These are all things that you can teach the science of selling till the cows come home, but anyone really could sell if they carry those attributes and they work them full speed.
Agreed.
And they never back off of them. I have 3 pillars. Mindset is number 1, behavior, technique. Technique, if you notice, is 3rd. Because I do believe that over years, you do develop some techniques. You know when to ask the right question at the right time. You know how to pull pain out and all those different things. But it really starts with mindset, and then behavior I probably could call habit. It's creating the right rituals, having the right habits that you can duplicate and repeat over and over and over again, that creature of habit type thing.
Yep.
I think that those are the keys to being effective in sales, really in business. And quite honestly, in life, I found that to be effective. When my mindset is not right, I suck at everything.
And guess what? People around you, people you love, people you're friends with, they probably see it.
Yeah.
And might have an off day with them, and that's okay. You're going to have off days, right? Again, I go back to when I was happy-go-lucky AJ and a more realistic AJ now. Yeah. I had off days, and a lot of people didn't see those because I masked well.
Yeah.
I was a chameleon, and I was on. I was, when I was selling, I was on. That was my stage, right? When I had my microphone broadcasting, that was my stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I've done almost like 30 of my friends' wedding entrances, and I've DJ'd down in the city, in the suburbs. So those are my stages, right? And so my job is my stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why sometimes I have Tourette outbursts in between calls. But hey, you go on to the next one.
That's
right?
just fun.
You go on to the next one. And now I work in the basement, so I'm not bothering anyone.
You can say anything you want.
So I'm not bothering anyone. And it's work from. So funny story. I was anti-work from home. Like, never.
Mm-hmm.
And I never say never, except for I'm never going to have Facebook. And I'm done a good job. Never have Facebook, never will. Good thing I didn't say all social media, but I kind of am. Working from home. So my son, around Thanksgiving of COVID 2020, that was the first of 7 times COVID lived in our house. I still have never gotten it. Knock on wood.
Good for you.
And I'm still never going to get that. I wash my hands 130 times a day and bring it on. Let's go. 7 times it's lived, and I've beaten it every time. And
Yeah.
I even took the test for see if you ever did have it and didn't know. Nah, I didn't got that. So that was the first time. And I was at work, and my boss says, I never go out to lunch. I went and got a damn burrito that day, and I come back, and like my teammate's like, yeah, you can't come back in. They don't want you in. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, bro. And thank God I have a convertible. So I'm like, I need you to bring out my 2 monitors, my PC, and my headset.
Just throw them in.
And put it in my back seat connected, because I'm going home and going to plug it into the basement. And yeah, 24 hours later, I'm like looking at myself.
This is pretty
like,
sweet.
I'm like, I am a moron. Like, why was I so anti this?
Yeah.
And it just... Again, you have to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
I'm disciplined. Like, I'll kick my own ass before someone else will. Like, I just do. But for me, and what I need now in life, and what I need to be happy and be productive and do my best selling, the office
at 53 with all the years of adversity and all the years of success. But could you imagine if your 23-year-old self working from home? I mean, I would have been terrible.
No.
First of all, I wouldn't have grown as fast as I did, because I just soaked in every ounce of every piece of knowledge that the elders had around. I just took it all in. You can't do that when you're at home now.
Well,
it's a little harder.
That was normalcy back then.
Yeah.
Once COVID hit, you couldn't go to the office.
Then that became normal.
My teammate and I were the 2 that were in office every day.
But I think there is a generation of people that started their careers, let's say in 18, 19, maybe even 20 or 21, that have started off in sales that are not running at the pace that we probably ran at when we started, because they're just not hearing the superstar next to them in the cubicle next to them overcoming 50 objections and hearing no, and then just hanging up and going to the next call, right? They're probably hearing no and then waiting 15 minutes like to figure out how to overcome that, and then not wanting to make the next phone call because that no felt bad. And they're not seeing other people around them that are willing to dive right back in.
That might be a single person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you got to put, again, it goes back to vulnerability, right? Like, you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Whether it's with another person in a romantic setting, whether it's a friend, whether it's your job, whether it's a customer.
You're going to hear no.
You're going to hear no, and you're not going to jive with everybody. So it's like, what common ground can you find with somebody to make it amicable, right? And it takes work. It just, there's nothing is easy anymore. It's just not. And, so you got to work at everything. You got to work at your relationships. You got to, one thing I've learned, especially since 23, like, tell people you love them. Like, before it's too late, right? It's important, I mean, I'm lucky to have both my parents. Christy has both her parents still, but they're all in their 70s. Like, that's not going to live forever, right? Like, and then you don't know when that number's pulled. So it's important that you always tell the people you love them, even your friends, like, and like, I do a terrible job at, like, when I think of somebody, reaching out to them. So I'm trying to do better at that, even if it's just a text.
What a great thing to, to try and be better at.
What's funny though? Every time I think about somebody, I end up a lot of times hearing from that person within 48 hours. And it's like, man, I got to start thinking about people more.
Or maybe there's an energy that gets sent out. There's something happening in the. I don't know if a veil's been lifted, but I feel a lot more of that type of energy. I don't know if I'm just vibrating at the right vibration these days. I don't know if this happens to you either, but I've been seeing numbers in a row like crazy. I keep seeing 444. I see it 6 to 7 times a day. I will see it. I'll look at the clock. It's 4:44. Then I'll go look at my content that I've created on one YouTube page. One of the clips will be at 444 views. Then I'll go to LinkedIn. I'll look at that, and it'll be at 444 views. And this will all be in one day. It's absolutely crazy. I'll look at the mileage on my car. Same day, it'll be 80,444. I mean, like, what are the odds of that? So I don't know. I love that you just said that, because it's like, if you're thinking positive, that's going out, and then all of a sudden, like, somebody that you were going to reach out to reaches out to you. Like, did they get a signal of some sort? Like, what energy hit them that were they thinking of you at the same time? Like, how does that happen?
I know it's mystical, I guess, but it's like that same theory though. Like when you're having that positive mindset, it's easy to shrug off some of the negative things that happen to you.
Yeah.
But when you're in that negative mindset, everything just piles and piles and builds and sticks
to you, man, like Velcro.
Pretty soon you're like, holy cow, I can't get up.
Yeah, I can't get up. Yeah.
So it's the mindset and the journey are the fun parts.
There you go, salespeople.
The journey it doesn't seem like it's fun when you're going through it.
Yeah.
But when you look back, and I'm a guy, actually, I reflect a lot. And I've screwed up a lot in my life. And I'm also a guy who says sorry. Like, when I screw up, I'll apologize. No, I'm not too big to apologize. But when you reflect, you really get a better sense of yourself, I feel like. I wish more people would reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you can go, man, AJ, you could have handled that situation way better. Or, hey, let's not get elevated in the tone, and let's just try to be more calm in that situation. And then next time you give it a whirl, and you have a better outcome, right? Thanks, Dr. Carey. You keep getting plugged.
Did Dr. Carey help you or talk to you about forgiving yourself?
Yes.
What's amazing, because I did the same thing. What's amazing is when you forgive yourself, you become so much better at forgiving others. And then all of a sudden, all that blockage starts to free up. Mm-hmm. So that goes back to this mindset thing. I think that we've arrived at this, like, the point of this podcast, I think, is about mindset. You want mindset if you want to overcome cancer. Mindset if you want to deal with the adversity of a special needs child. Mindset if you want to be a rock star salesperson. Mindset if you want to overcome depression, anxiety, and whatever it might be. It really is the power of the mind is what'll frees you up to get shit done.
You took it out. I was going to say, mindset to get shit done.
Mindset to get shit done. I love it. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking with you, Aaron, and this is the first interaction that I've had with you. I want to play a little game with you here. We call this Quick Hits. This is a quick segment. Oh, it's really fun. I'm going to ask you really
association games,
crazy off-the-wall questions, a little bit of get to know you, and then we'll wrap it up with you giving us a last final word of inspiration. It's been a fantastic episode. If you've stuck around for this long in the episode, I really, really appreciate you, and I hope that you'll rate and review this episode. Give us a 5-star. Follow us on our podcast platforms, and please go to LinkedIn and follow Aaron.
That's about all you'll find me on.
There you go. You're not going to find him anywhere else. All right. Are you ready? Quick hit number 1. Ready?
Ready.
All right. Best Chicago sports team of all time, in your opinion?
I would have to say, because I was at a lot of those games, Michael Jordan Bulls during their little championship run. I'd love to say the 2005 Sox. I'd love to say the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
But I think those Michael Jordan teams.
You talk about the 97 team? 95? Which one was the one that won 72 games?
The 72 game was great, but you just have to lump them all together because Chicago sports doesn't win multiple championships.
No, they
historically.
Don't. It's
right.
Painful.
And unfortunately, I've been a diehard Chicago fan. Miami Dolphins, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Those are my other two. So I cry a lot on Sundays. I cried twice on Thanksgiving. Thanks, Packers and Lions. But yeah, you just keep, it's like rooting for crappy teams. Like, you're diehard or you're not, right?
Yeah.
You're head first shallow.
We're in
right?
it, baby.
I got friends who like Duke and they like, the Yankees
and
those
stuff. It's like front running.
But guess what? The next year they like the Braves or the Dodgers.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like
front runners.
You stick. Like my teammate Rob loves the Browns. Like, I mean, if you're Browns, you're a Lions fan, you're a Bears fan, you're a Dolphins fan. You're diehard.
That's why we know the Bears are out, so I'm rooting for the Lions just because, you know what? They understand our pain. They understand it. I'll root for them a little bit. I kind of hate them, but I'll root for them. The Bears are coming.
This division's not going to be fun to play in.
No, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. All right, quick hit number 2. Best hot dog in the Chicagoland area.
I do not eat that product. I know what's inside a hot dog. So
Okay, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you don't want to hear it. I don't do the hot dog.
All right,
product.
segue. Quick hits
I do
number
know this.
2.
I hate ketchup, and that does not belong on a hot dog.
It does not.
I will tell you the condiments that belong on a hot dog: mustard, onion, pickle, and if you have the bright green relish, Southside.
I'm pretty sure.
Comiskey, if the bright green relish is the best.
Shout out to our amazing client, Portillo's. Your hot dogs are the best, in my opinion.
By far.
Especially the Chicago style. Amen to that.
I like the Maxwell Polish here personally, mustard, onion, pickle, because I don't eat the hot dog product, but I'll do a Polish, Italian.
You'll do the Polish.
Just not the hot dog.
Okay, fair enough. I don't want
the food industry.
Maybe
so I know what's in there.
offline, you could tell me what's in a hot dog, but I probably don't want to hear it.
No, you don't.
All right, quick hit number 3. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Deep dish or thin crust?
Pie time. If I wanted thin crust, I'd move to New York. It is all about the deep dish. Lou's, old school Eduardo's, spinach and garlic from either of those were amazing. There's so many good pizza places. My family, we probably eat pizza 5 times a week. My wife's favorite food by far. So we're pizza-holics. I like it only like twice a week maybe, but it's pizza, definitely deep dish. Definitely not saucy and flat and flipping it over like New York style. It's Chicago style is where it's at.
Love it. Quick hits number 4. Best vacation that you've ever gone on. Where and who was with you?
That's a tough one because I have traveled fairly.
Give us multiple if you want.
All right. I've only been across the pond once.
Okay.
My friend Dan's wedding in Scotland. Oh, that place was amazing. Edinburgh was a trip, super nostalgic, and everything was safe, and the people were fun. I love their accents. They like to eat and drink.
It's the greatest accent.
Love it.
They're speaking English, but you need subtitles.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like watching Snatch with Brad Pitt or something.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
So Scotland was amazing. I've gone on a lot of cruises. My wife and I always like to cruise because you get to see multiple spots.
Yeah.
You know, we used to, like
everything's
gamble
taken care
and
of for you.
drink and eat. Nothing better than going on a cruise and like actually ordering all 7 entrees and having the table like on day 2 or 3 going, what was the best one? Or especially with desserts, because I have an ice cream addiction. Like, I'd go with the blueberry ice cream today. Like people would ask my recommendations.
Yeah.
So I've always liked cruises. I would say Aruba, Jamaica, the Bahamas, probably some of my favorites. Cabo San Lucas.
Did you just quote a Beach Boys song?
Oh my gosh, I might have.
Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take it.
That's scary. I wasn't.
Wow.
Trying. Definitely not in time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Wilson.
How about Cabo San Lucas?
I love Cabo
because I've DJ'd actually at 7 clubs there.
I sang at Cabo Wabo with the Cabo Wabo house band.
Nice.
Santeria by Sublime.
We were at Sammy Hagar's Cabo Wabo when he came on and did an impromptu.
He was there?
His birthday's October
I wish he was
13th,
there.
13th, I believe. But yeah, that was crazy. We're in there playing. We had a deck of cards and there was like 6 of us just playing asshole. And it was like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And we're starting to get a little saucy. Like,
Here comes Sammy.
Eat. All of a sudden, this 80s hair band comes on and then Sammy comes on. I was like, wow,
That's crazy.
Is on.
Let's go.
But Cabo's great. I speak Spanish fluently. So
Probably
I like it out
easier.
there. It makes it a lot easier. But I'd have to say Cabo's got to be up there with the rest.
Boom. Quick hits number 5. If you could retire anywhere with your beautiful bride, where are you retiring?
Well, she came from Arizona.
Oh, yeah. I love Arizona.
I like the dry heat. I was born in Florida. I wouldn't go back to Florida, though. I'll be honest with you. I really like the northwest suburbs of Illinois.
You're going to stay here.
You know what?
You have so many roots.
No, all my roots are gone. Like
all your roots are gone?
We used to host like 23 to 30 people for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever. 9.
All right.
And my mom and brother came in from Wisconsin.
Well, my family of 5 will be there next year.
Bring it on. Bring it on. We're fun. We're
loud, so
we're fun.
Keep you ready.
You're going to hear.
We'll bring microphones.
We'll bring
We'll
microphones.
do a Thanksgiving podcast.
Oh, I'm so in.
That'd be great.
Hide your children's
just
ears.
Sitting at the counter while everyone else is making dinner. We're just doing commentary.
Oh, can I bring out some of the good dirty jokes I know?
Oh, please do.
Good.
We might have to end with a dirty joke.
What's the difference between light and hard? You can sleep with the light on.
I mean, I don't know how else to end the podcast. And the podcast here with a little bit of inspiration here.
All right.
Leave us with a little bit of positive thoughts, something that you hope for the world. And once again, listeners, thank you so much for hanging in here with us. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have making it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's been awesome. regardless of political, like everybody just knock off the bullshit and come together. Like, let's go. Like, be better people, do better, be better. That's another saying in the Johnson house. Do better, be better. And if everybody would just every day do better, be better, we'll solve a lot of problems. As for like reality's sake, mindset, and just be human, be real, treat people with respect, treat people how you want to be treated. And guess what? It's okay to call somebody out if they're being a deet-to-dee, but do it in a nice way, and maybe you'll actually help them, right? I've been misconstrued over my emails, my tact, in my life often. But guess what? At the end of the day, if you're nice to people and you're kind to people, and we all do a little bit better and be better, everything's going to be better for everybody and not just some certain individuals. Just keep grinding, be real, love each other, hug your family, tell them you love them, and don't give up. Get your ass back up, fight, and make shit happen. And bring your cash, confidence, attitude, swagger, hustle.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Aaron Johnson. We're talking about Paragon Micro. Look it up. Look up Aaron. And once again, Aaron, I want to thank you, and I want to remind you, sir, you got shit done.
Thanks for having me. Get
Cheers,
this, son.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Can your business handle 15% growth? If yes, you have to engage with 2020 Design. They fuse data and creativity to stop the scroll, break through the noise, and grab the attention of your future customers. 2020 Design will create competitive, click-worthy campaigns, design and build custom websites, spark your social media presence, and structure email campaigns that get right to your audience, the decision maker. Let's boost attention and awareness, which allows you to convert more sales. Check them out at 2020design.com. That's the number 20, TWENTY design.com.